I wouldn't say that the story is completely forgotten about, but it's certainly being downplayed. This is a major human rights issue which I think ought to form a big priority for governments across a large belt of the world, but that still isn't really happening. I think it's guilt about colonialism. If we're talking about Europe, it might be guilt about the recent history of Western involvement in the Middle East in particular. And the people who are actually suffering on the ground certainly bear no responsibility for colonialism or Western military adventurism. I think on the contrary, it may be that those who are persecuting them use the association between Christianity and the West as a kind of pretext or a stick with which to beat people. But this is particularly inappropriate when you consider that Christianity, so far from being a Western faith, is an export from the Middle East, not an import to it. And some of the oldest Christian societies on earth, in what has been a very delicate and rich religious mosaic, are more or less at risk of extinction now. It's a great tragedy. I think it's a very good idea. It's an interesting subject in itself, and I hope it will raise the profile of the subject. Around the world, 200 million Christians, that's to say about 10% of the global total, are facing difficulties of some kind at the moment. Not necessarily always outright oppression, there's a lot of discrimination as well. But this is, as I've indicated, a major human rights issue. If you look at a large belt of the world stretching from Morocco to Pakistan, Christians can't really worship freely in any of these societies virtually.